defensive end, Clelin Ferrell. Clelin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Hey, I'm an outside linebacker now.
Oh,
just to
outside
say
linebacker.
Let me correct you. No, I'm just messing with you.
Raiders' former first-round pick, Clelin Ferrell, gave us a little tip on what Patrick Graham's defense might look like this year. In an interview with Pop Culture, Clelin Ferrell explained how he has changed positions. We have often wondered, what will the base defense of the Raiders look like? Will it be a 4-3 like under Gus Bradley last year, or will it instead be a 3-4 under Patrick Graham? Clelin Ferrell stating that he is switching from defensive end to outside linebacker further proves that the Raiders will most likely roll with a 3-4 base defense. This information really changes what our front seven could possibly look like. Real quick, bro, remember to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more notifications. You won't regret it. Josh McDaniels spoke about this issue at the Combine press conference.
You know, anymore in today's NFL, 80 to 85% of your defense is in nickel or dime. You know, the concept of being a 4-3 or 3-4 is kind of almost out of the window now. What we want to do is we want to try to be able to play to the strengths of the players that are on our roster. We know we have some really good players that played in a four-man line last year. We're going to try to accentuate their strengths, and at the same time we want to be multiple enough to be able to change some things from week to week if we need to or feel like we have to try to give us the best chance to stop the opponent. So there'll be a level of multiplicity that hopefully we can grow and graduate to.
Josh McDaniels did not commit to anything, and instead he explained how most defenses in the NFL use either a nickel or a dime defense because usually opposing offenses have 3 wide receivers on the field. And even when offenses have 12 personnel, the tendency to pass the ball is still high, so you're better off rolling with the sub defense anyways. Defensive coordinator Patrick Graham was asked about what the base defense could look like this year, but he also dodged the question as well.
The game is sub defense, period, point blank. So, you know, whether it's, 11 personnel that we're seeing from teams or the 12 personnel that plays like 11 personnel, and the way we combat that a lot of times is playing sub defense. So when I say sub defense, now you get into the 4-2-5 world of it. You know, whatever the spacing is, 4 down, 5 down, 3 down, however the spacing is, but you're really dealing in the world of 5 DBs on the field at once. And 4 bigger bodies with 2 linebacker deals. So, like, to me, the 4-3, the 3-4 discussions, I mean, it's almost like it's antiquated, to be honest with you. And what we're dealing with is sub. So there's plenty. I mean, when you talk about sub defense, do you have guys on the team that can rush the passer? Yes. Do you have guys on the team that can stop the run? Yes. Do you have guys that can cover, that have shown they could cover in the past? Yes. So to answer your question, Vinny, those are the 3 major things I'm looking for aside from tackling. So yeah, I'm good.
Save money on Raiders tickets. Use my SeatGeek code WiFiWillie right here below. Save $20 off your Raiders tickets this year. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment as well. Save some cash. I do like the fact that Patrick Graham and Josh McDaniels aren't going to tell us what base defense they're rolling with. However, it's not true that you're just in sub defense all the time. Your average NFL team last year was in a sub defense 65% of the time. The rest of the time, they're in a base defense. So it is significant in terms of position battles what type of base defense we're rolling with, and based on Clelin Ferrell's earlier statement, it seems quite clear that we're rolling with the 3-4 defense. So that sort of changes our lineup here. These people just aren't defensive ends. Yes, when we're in the nickel, everybody's going to be a defensive end who's an edge rusher, but when we're in the 3-4 defense, who's going to be standing up? Who's going to be an outside linebacker? We know Clelin Ferrell is going to be standing up as an outside linebacker in that 3-4 defense. Will that be the same for Max Crosby when he's starting? Chandler Jones has historically, been an outside linebacker. He was last year with the Arizona Cardinals. He was with the New England Patriots as well. However, he also moved around a lot and did tons of multiple fronts with the Patriots. But most of the time in the base defense, it makes sense that he will be standing up as an outside linebacker. So Malcolm Kuntz, this changes some things for him. I really do think Malcolm Kuntz can excel in the 3-4 outside linebacker role. I do not think the 4-3 defense for Malcolm Kuntz last year under Gus Bradley at defensive end really suit Malcolm Kuntz's abilities. Really, I just do not think so out of Buffalo. We'll see what happens there. Tashawn Bauer will likely also be an outside linebacker. But who's going to have their hand in the ground, right? Who's going to be the 3-down defensive lineman in that 3-4 base defense? Who's going to play defensive end? Last year, we had 2 defensive tackles on the field most of the time. That clearly won't be the case this year. Vernon Butler could be somebody who maybe slides to defensive end. Maybe Bilal Nichols, especially when you have Jonathan Hankins, Clelin Ferrell Jr. able to play that nose tackle role. They'll likely be the defensive tackle right in the middle of that base defense. So you wonder who's going to be on the outside. Could it be Matthew Butler, defensive end? Bilal Nichols starting. Perhaps Vernon Butler. Maybe even, Kendall Vickers. He's been versatile, sliding at D tackle and defensive end in his career with the Raiders. However, I do not anticipate he'll start. So it could be really interesting to see what happens here. There's also the possibility that maybe Max Crosby isn't standing up in the 3-4 base defense. Instead, he'll have his hand in the ground as a true defensive end. And then that opens up the question, like, could Clelin Ferrell be starting in the 3-4 base defense as an outside linebacker? I personally don't think that's possible, but it could happen if you elect to have Max Crosby with his hand in the ground. But this really teaches us a lot about what's possibly going on. Yes, we're going to have 3 true linebackers on the field when we are in the 3-4 defense. Someone like Kyler Fackrell, though, when you look at his career as a pass rusher, he will likely be a pass rushing outside linebacker, basically an edge defender in this 3-4 defense. I highly doubt we're going to have Kyler Fackrell in coverage, in 3-4 as a linebacker. Diablo, Jayon Brown, and Perryman will be the 3 true traditional linebackers in this 3-4 defense. So let me know what your lineup is in this 3-4 defense. I want to hear from you guys, Raider Nation. Like, what do you see happening? Who are the 3 defensive linemen? Who's your defensive tackle starting? I got Hankins there. I got Bilal Nichols at end right now, and I also have someone as like Matthew Butler on the other end right now. And I could really see Chandler Jones and Max Crosby being the 2 outside linebackers. And then you have somebody like Divine Diablo and Perryman starting with those 2 inside middle linebacker roles. Let me know your guys' base defense, what you guys see happening. Like this video if you've watched it all the way through, and subscribe to this channel to get more updates with the Raiders. My name is WiFiWillie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.